Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
Hey, gang, back again on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. This is the Code 47 podcast, episode 97. I am your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, Charlie Carden, here with my stalwart companions. As always, Mr. Peter Stein, hello.
Hey, everybody.
And the, what words can be said? The K-A-E, that's K. K, how are you? I can never
I'm doing well.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're back. We're recording on a Monday and publishing on a Monday because Peter and I, as you can tell by our outfits, we're doing a little Star Trekking yesterday at C2E2, and it just happened since we're recording this episode, which is wrapping up Deep Space Nine Season 3, where this is the Deep Space Nine outfit that we're wearing. We didn't get to record yesterday, so we usually record on a Sunday, and then I schedule it for a Monday. But you are listening to this mere hours, potentially, after we have recorded it, so it's fresh. Hot
Closest
takes.
to live you'll get.
Closest to live you'll get with my itty-bitty tiny bit of editing. So anyway, we have a new Patreon this week, or we probably did last week, but I'm lazy because I'm not like Todd with all my little lists and everything. But I do know that Andy Milliken is joining us on the Best Buds level, and so we want to give her a treat by giving her what we give all of our Trekkers who Patreon with us at that level. We're going to give her a Starfleet race, a Star Trek race, and a job. Peter was the one in the pre-roll who remembered what we were supposed to do, so he gets to go first.
Oh boy, I thought I would have more time to think about this.
Nope,
so
never.
Species and job. I'm going to go a little bit off the rails for Starfleet and say Romulan.
What do Romulans do?
Yeah. Well, I think Romulans generally make good intelligence officers. So there you go.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fair.
All right, I'll go in the middle here. I'm going to spin it off and call it lazy. I don't know. She's going to be a Vulcan, but what I would have said if she was a Romulan is that she is going to be a soup chef. You know, remember that little soup cafe?
There you go.
in Unification. Enjoy your soup, courtesy of a loyal establishment, Joe Lontrue. But it's Vulcan soup, so it's definitely bland. And if you get Ponfar, you might just throw it at somebody's head, because that's what Spock did. Almost took Chapel out, if you remember the Ponfar episode. Yeah. Tisk. Andy, chuck that soup bowl. All right, Kay, take us home.
It might be because I've been watching so much DS9, but I'm going to say that they're going to be an Andorian tailor.
Ooh. You know what Andorian's like? I remember from the original series, Andorian, one of them appeared. It was that episode where they were in the insane asylum and you met Galth Vizar. It was the big furry poncho. It looked like something out of the 70s. It was a little ahead of its time from the 60s, but it was in the 70s. Like a big, tall fur. It looked like somebody ran over a yak and shaved it and then turned it into an article of clothing. Yikes. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Kay, I hope you're not really frozen, because you kind of look frozen.
No, I'm good.
Can you hear us?
I can, yes.
Oh, boy. Well, Peter, we might have to continue for a little while. Kay, are you still with us? I am here. Good. Say something.
I'm trying, but apparently it's not.
Okay. Well, Peter, let's continue. Kay, feel free to jump. Oh, my gosh, she's speaking. All right, we might have. Okay, and back from that weird interruption, we will continue. Okay, we have a news item this week. We don't always have them, but we have a good one. This is fresh in from the year 1991, at which time there was a rumored subject matter of what ended up turning into Star Trek 6. But we're getting a Star Trek Starfleet Academy series. This was announced last week, looking to go into production next year, which means it's in pre-production, no casting, no real plot details, that are hinted about, except, and there was some key art that was announced last week, an announcement by Alex Kurtzman, who obviously heads up the franchise, that this series will be tipping off the reopening of the Starfleet Academy campus after a century of it being an idol. So that can really only suggest that this is something that's going to happen within the 32nd century timeline of Star Trek Discovery. So yes, I know, because it was funny, the rumor mill churns, because it was only right probably after we learned that a month ago that we learned Discovery was going to finally end, that one of these muckety mucks said, well, that we're pretty much done with 32nd century, we're not going back again. And then that's the only place that this can be set. Peter and Kay, unless I'm very much mistaken, if you can think of another time that Starfleet Academy shut down and opened up again, unless it happened
not where it's been down for a century.
Yeah,
I mean, there could be something in the middle of the temporal Cold War that we don't know about.
That's
but
true. That,
based on everything we know,
yeah, that would be kind of a grab. So yeah, that's my first impression, is that it would go down like that. So what do you guys think? This is I would think an obvious attempt to really reach out and engage with some younger viewers. There was a Starfleet Academy comic series in the late 90s from Marvel, from that run that I it was terrible, but I loved it. I was in
junior novels.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did junior novels where they had young Riker and they had young Beverly and young Worf. I never ended up reading any of those. Were they any good, or were they all kind of trash? The comics were kind of trash. I can't lie to you.
The books were okay.
Yeah.
They had some set in the original series and some set in the Next Generation.
Right, yeah. And
they were okay. They weren't like amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and they always dabble. I know that there was a Kobayashi Maru novel in the 80s or 90s that was, Kirk, Scotty, and I think Sulu were trapped somewhere, so they all swapped stories of the Kobayashi Maru when they were coming up through Academy and how they tackled it and stuff. So yeah, I mean, going back and looking at our characters as young people, though that's obviously not what this will be. This is going to be what I would imagine have to be a relatively new crop of characters. Does suggest that Tilly could be involved, because that's where she went off to. Kay, you're the big Voyager fan, and if this is in fact a successor to Voyager, what do you think? What are your
Discovery?
Thoughts? Discovery, yeah, that's right, that's the one.
I'm also a fan of Voyager.
Yes,
but,
right.
I am very excited. I know that there are mixed feelings about Tilly even on this podcast, but I will always be a fan of Tilly. So if this means I get more Tilly, I am super stoked about it. I mean,
totally.
I'm just imagining the one episode where she went off with that group of cadets and they kind of had their own mission. Yeah. And if that's what I'm going to get, I really enjoyed that episode. And
I think so.
Please give me some more.
I think that was pretty cool. So, to me, seems like a great opportunity for the producers to reach out. And engage some younger viewers, bring more people into the franchise. So, if you're looking at the landscape over the next couple of years, Picard is ending. I have very little doubt that with all the buzz and the burn about hashtag Star Trek Legacy, I'm going to make an admission here. I hate stupid petition.org. I went and signed the damn petition. I feel that strongly about Star Trek Legacy, about seeing a 25th century show that has Captain Shaw, Commander Hansen /7, the LaForges, any of the legacy characters who maybe don't die in Picard because they said, oh, nobody's safe, somebody might end up dying or what. I mean, Picard's already dead. Worf. So yeah, Worf. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, looking at the slate, we know that we've still got Lower Decks. We know that we've still got Strange New Worlds. Both of those have established dates that they're coming out. We also know that we're going to get Prodigy for the end of the year. So that takes us through 2023. One would presume that those three shows could also have newer seasons into 2024. And then if this goes into production next year, that means that it really will not likely come out until 2025. So hopefully that will lead to some other show being announced. And I feel like we've lost Kay again. Oh boy, this might turn into the Charlie and Peter show.
I say,
hopefully not.
All right, I'm going to give it one more try, and then it's going to be the two of us, bud. Okay. All right, we're going to bid adieu to Kay. Kay, I'm sorry. Peter, we'll stop and start again. Sorry, folks. All right, we're back for a third time. I feel so bad. Kay, we love it when we work together, but Kay is recording remotely, and she is somewhere, deep within basically undiscovered space. She's in the Badlands where the internet is unreliable. Let's hope the Maquis don't find her where she is. All right, Peter. So it's just
you. About the Cardassians, but
I would, but especially with when they come up with the Dominion, which is a great segue into what we need to talk about. We're getting into the next two episodes of Star Trek Picard, episodes 6 and 7. Peter, kick us off. Tell me about episode 6.
All right. Well, episode 6, called Bounty, is the crew going to Daystrom Station, going to infiltrate it, and then they have to run away because Starfleet shows up because they've been tracked.
Run away!
Run away!
Yeah, exactly.
Run away! And, then we finally get to see the much teased in the end credits Fleet Museum and multiple ships, which we'll talk about in detail, I'm sure. The away team is faced by multiple things by the security system. They end up in where they need to go and find that there is a new android, a Soong type android that is the repository of all the information that they need, and they need to restart it.
Just turn it off now and again.
There is a reunion of the LaForges. Geordi refuses originally.
Yeah, Geordi, Alondra, and Sydney.
Yes.
No, Brett. Forget you, Brett. He's probably works at a gas station somewhere. I don't know.
So, I mean, yeah. So they do that. Geordi doesn't want to help. Jack kind of forces the issue by stealing the cloaking device from the HMS Bounty. And then the ship returns to Daystrom Station. The crew, the away team, manages to escape. Sans Riker, who stays behind to ward off the invaders of the station, who ends up being Vatic, who captures our good Captain Riker. And then we finally get the data body, where we get the reveal that there's multiple consciousnesses inside this body of both, well, not both. It's Data, B4, Lal, Lore, and some of Alt and Soong.
Which is kind of what we knew all along.
Well, we knew Lore was going to be in it.
Yeah. It was teased up Lore because there were little bits in the
teaser trailers.
In the teasers, right. I love it how they say that B4 and Lal are
and Alton are just kind of underlying memory programs.
They're just like, it's like they're each on a thumb drive. It's like, oh, let's talk to Lore. Here, pop, boop.
Whereas like Data, so then Data is the repository of information, and he is able to tell them what the changelings actually stole, and we find out that it is Jean-Luc's corpse, which is for some reason on Daystrom Station. And then the shocker at the end is we see Riker brought to the brig on Vatic's ship, and he sees none other than his lovely wife, Deanna Troi.
Yes, who is clearly going to be the pawn in order to make him behave and submit. So, man, let's talk about that Fleet Museum. Holy crap, that was intense. So, Jack Crusher won a spot in my heart. He's great. He walks on the bridge and he's going to plop down in the captain's chair just because Seven's sitting in her first officer seat. She's like, "Quit it!" And he still sits down. And he's just trying it on. He's so charismatic. I forgot to mention that. Would there be a Star Trek Legacy show? Obviously, he would be a big part of it. But so he plops down and they're doing a little walkthrough. And it's just, it's a walk down member berries. First, it's like, there's the Defiant, and you get the little DS9 theme. And then they roll on, and then Jack says, "Oh, Kirk's ship. And it's the 1701A. It's my baby." It's funny, down here in the studio, that's one thing I don't have hanging. I've got blueprints up around. I have on the far wall, I have a great set of 1979 blueprints that my buddy John Blizzard gave me that were from the motion picture. I love that ship. If you've ever been to my house, it's friggin' everywhere in my house. I adore that vessel.
Perhaps the best ship designed. So
it was once said that was a ship that you can't photograph it from a bad angle. It looks gorgeous no matter how you're looking at it. So that was awesome. And then there was a moment that made me cry. Seven got on and she started talking about Voyager, which is also in the museum, and saying I was reborn there. That was my first family. I
that was a really good scene.
that was really
I
zapped to
do
me. So
have to comment. They showed an actual TOS Constitution. I was
right,
surprised,
right.
pleasantly, but I was surprised.
Right, yeah, that's a fuzzy one because they went from in season 1 of this show, Picard walking
Yeah,
into
only showing the
essentially
Discovery
Starfleet
version
headquarters,
of the ship.
and yeah, that was the Disco version, not even the Strange New Worlds version because that wasn't around yet. And so yes, there's some strange overlay of there's like a Constitution 1.5.
There
And
is a fuzziness in terms of continuity here.
there is a fuzziness in terms of continuity. Yeah, so you would wonder if you were at this Fleet Museum and you stuck your head into that particular exhibit, what the bridge looks like and what do the corridors look like.
Yep.
And yeah, and then you compare them to what you see in Strange New World. So anyway, boy, with Kay gone, we're really able to get granular on this deal, and she's not like, oh God, shut up.
The one
idiots.
thing that I do have there's a couple like with the I do have like a technical comment, but it's later in the episode, so I'll save it
Sure.
there.
No, that's fine. So and we're good. We're rolling here. So
But like the one thing that I thought was it was an interesting cameo, but I ended up not liking it honestly, was Moriarty.
Yeah.
I love Moriarty. I really do.
Very
and I was
brief,
very happy that I saw that the actor came back to do it. But the way that they used the character, it was definitely a, hey, you remember this? And I was like, I don't like when you do that.
It was a member berries. Yeah, it was a little bit too Easter eggy. So
it was just, and then it was like, oh, this is because, Data dealt with Moriarty.
Yeah, they're teeing it up. Yeah, and the crow from his dreams and stuff.
And honestly, for me, as much as I love Brent Spiner and as much as I love Data, stop bringing him back from the dead.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, no, it's a soap opera.
Like a character died, and in Nemesis, we weren't necessarily all happy with that death, but it was a sacrifice. That was a good death.
Right. It was a great sacrifice.
It was a meaningful death, I should say. It was a good death. It was a meaningful death. Then
like Spock's death, yeah, and then, which was obviously what it was meant to echo.
Yeah, and then we moved on to the end of season 1 of Picard. I honestly didn't like that death, but they did do it in a touching way. And now it's like we're dragging him back again, and it's like from the teasers, I was expecting just lore, and so now it's like, oh, and Data, and it's like,
right.
I
an
get
extra little bit
characters
of
together, but
right, and even in season 1 where they went to such lengths to say, well, this is his death, because the last little bit of his consciousness is in this necklace that Soji was, that was the girl from season 1 that she's wearing, and nope, it's gone, and so I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, it feels good to put.
Well, I mean, it's not. It's a good.
All of them together.
It feels great to have Data back, but I just It feels like they did it so that they could have him back, rather than it's an actually organic development that makes sense because they already killed the. Like it was. This show is really
bad
at the first time. So,
this show is really bad at that. That it's doing things organically, and they struggle with that a little bit this season. But I have to say that I thought this. I mean, one of the strongest episodes of the season. I think it definitely made its way. It's making its way into our upcoming episode challenge, which we'll see for our episode 100. I loved it. But and then giving us that hook with Troy, because we're like, where's Troy? Everybody's griping about Troy because we only saw her, in a flashback where she was being grumpy, and then we saw her on a video where she was being grumpy, and now she's right back in the thick of it, and you're putting the Rikers back together again.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
I'm still not sure. Like, this was a good episode. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good episode, but there's some things that are just like, I'm not really sure about.
But they want to keep you not sure.
No, not like sure about of like, I don't know where this is going. It's the
right.
I don't know about this sort of thing.
I
don't like the idea of taking Picard's body. First of all, I don't like that it's in a station. They have Kirk, which I also don't like. I appreciate the Easter egg. I don't like that.
I understand.
But it's leading me to think that we're going to either have some sort of Locutus versus Picard thing at the end, which would be bizarre, or something to that effect. And it's just like, I really hope you don't do that, because I
don't disagree. I really don't want to say take some weird kind of monster movie.
A mild comical nitpick that I have is the cloaking device. I love that they stole it. I thought that was hilarious, but the comment was, "We're now undetectable. It's 100 years old."
Oh my god!
It's 100 years old. They can find you.
Oh my goodness! We haven't even stumbled upon. I'm going to have to. We haven't even. I'm trying to come up with something pithy for the title of the episode. So I got something that's a work in progress.
Looking for all the data.
Looking for all the data. Put it all your data on a flash drive.
Yep.
All right, moving on to episode 7. Okay, the Titan is hiding among. This ended up being pretty sad. The Titan hides amongst the shipwrecks in Shintaka space. Now that AR-558, right? That's your jam.
No,
that's your episode,
Shintaka
right?
is it wasn't that episode. Right. It's its own battle, but
okay. Right. Geordi works against Laura's persona to restore Data's dominance. Worf and Raffi are out of the episode. They're off having a chat, and it was super. Seven is trying to find allies, and she's talking to Tuvok, which was very exciting.
Yeah, that was cool.
That we had no idea that was coming. However, she does quickly, through some wordplay back and forth, figured out that it's not really him, and then he reveals that because he can't, the changelings, much like the bluegills, can't fake memories, and so she manages to fake them out, and that's super sad. I did, however, hear a blurb from Tim Russ, who is then the guest on that week's Ready Room, for most of the episodes, sitting there talking to Will Wheaton. I heard subsequently, and maybe it was, I kind of skimmed through it, but maybe he said it here, maybe he said it somewhere else, that
he's in one more episode.
That Tuvok will be back. So let's hope that means that Tuvok pops out and beats us.
I think we'll get a sneaky Voyager reunion towards the end. So.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So so Vadic does finally catch up with them. And they managed to trap him, and there's a fight that ensues on board, and then we're finding out that Jack's that we didn't talk about that in the last episode. His visions, Beverly thinks it has to do with Irumodic syndrome, which of course came from Picard. Now when he gets the red eyes, he's developing some kind of telepathy, which he
but
and
not
Sydney,
even just telepathy. It's like full on like possession telepathy.
Right. And
like
then
level telepathy.
Yeah, he and Sydney end up trapped together on a turbo lift. We're also getting some strong shipper vibes. The two of them could have a little bit of a vibe going on, which I think is cool. Make a nice little couple. Picard's son and Geordi's daughter, the next generation, the grandfather generation. There you go. There's
the grand generation.
What's that?
The grand generation.
The grand generation. The grand generation. Little bit of kung fu fighting going on. And then we got a whole backstory on Vadic, because, just like any supervillain, once she gets trapped, they have to tell you their evil plan.
Me monologuing.
Yeah, exactly. So, we find out that she was part of a group of changelings that were at Daystrom during the war, that were experimented and tortured upon by Amanda Plummer somehow. No, the actress who is playing Vadic, who somebody somebody published a picture of actress Mindy Serling as Frau Farbissina from Austin Powers, and says, when Vadic comes on screen, this is all I see. Bring in the fembots! Anyway. We find out that that's what it was then. Frau Farbissina there is messing with the changelings. One of them pops loose, kills her, assumes her form, and then turns around these mutated powers onto the rest of them. And the mutated power is these changelings are now, much like the skin jobs from Battlestar Galactica, virtually undistinguishable from biological life forms, which makes them so resistant to detection.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Beverly and Picard are being trapped in sickbay, then find out that each one of the changeling has some shared unique signature, and so they're able to track them as well. So that's how they're able to.
Yeah, there's some sort of like radioactive isotope that gave them their mutation or something.
Right, which was probably by design. But none of this really helps because Vadic does storm the bridge after beating up Captain Shaw again. Now, God, from the guy that we hated at first, now every time he gets hurt, it hurts our hearts because he's wound his way.
He's a character that's a joy to see. He might not always be enjoyable, but he is a joy to see.
Right. He's fan. I mean, he's and like I said, having met Todd Stashwick personally, he's a super cool guy. Have even interacted with him on social media because his DMs are actually open. Not that I'm trying to flood it out there. Doesn't mean everybody should flood his DMs, but he was super cool. I reached out to him and he reached back out to me, so I thought that was pretty awesome. So anyway, so yeah, we wrap up the episode with Vadic taking the bridge. And now
also Laura's
announcing
loose.
she knows, and Laura's loose, and she announces she is going to and announces she knows Jack's true nature. End of episode.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy cow! I mean that this is a packed 2 episodes. You know what I mean? So what do you think? Tell me what you think.
This episode, I did like. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting seriously Auton vibes from Doctor Who from Jack. I don't know if you're familiar with that. There's a bit in.
I'm starting to be because we're doing Doctor Who as one of our Patreon.
It's a good
inclusions.
Show.
Yeah.
So there's a stretch, if anyone's familiar with, in series 6 that Amy Pond is replaced by basically a replicant, but her consciousness is being transferred to it through timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, whatever.
All that stuff, of which we have plenty here.
So I'm thinking that I'm starting to get the feeling that there might be something like that going on with Jack. I could be completely off base, but there's something up where he's not entirely human. And either Beverly's mind has been wiped in some way so that she doesn't know, and so his backstory is completely fabricated, or there's something else going on, which leads me to the Auton thing. Because I don't think they want to make him not Picard's son. I really don't think they want to pull a Ray here.
That would be a bummer. It would suck to see all that undone because it's been some nice progression. I think I've liked the scenes that I've seen.
The dynamic between the two is really good. So I think that if they mess that up, it would be kind of unfortunate, I think is the best way to put that. So that was interesting that he has all of these abilities. So that's part of why I'm leaning towards there's something up. Because if he's just human with Beverly and Picard, then there really shouldn't be anything there.
Gotcha. I do like how we're keeping that mystery going. There's so much, there's so much guessing going on. It's just it is genuinely suspenseful week to week.
Yeah.
As opposed to last season, which was generally just.
It was a head to desk.
It was a head to and season 2 of Picard was a head to desk, where this is just my God, what are they going to do next? How are they going to twist this out? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm very enthused. So
I'm curious to see where they're going to take stuff, especially lore here, because I mean, my first thought was the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, if lore figures out that he doesn't like these people, well, sucks to suck. You don't want lore against you. I don't think that's where they're going, but it would be comical to see lore go, ape on these changelings. It would be kind of funny, just because lore does lore things.
It's Peter. You have a solid streak of naming these episodes. It sucks to suck.
So one thing that I thought was a little that I didn't like really was the. I guess the existential conversation that Beverly and Jean-Luc had in sickbay with Vadic right behind them.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about literally killing her. And it was
exposition. Yeah.
It was one of those it's very strange to do that with your intended victim right next to you.
Right.
But 2,
should they have just gone Vadic earmuffs?
Cone of silence. Yeah. But also I get that they've been trying to make Beverly like having gone through some dark stuff, which they have left very vaguely defined.
Right.
But I really don't like what they've been doing with her character. Like Gates McFadden is doing a fantastic job. Like that, don't read into that.
No, I agree.
But
I agree.
But I just
But
don't. I don't like
but
where
it
it's like
is- yeah.
where she's like, because
It is
Picard
very
literally asks you, "Are we willing to throw away our principles for this?" And she's like, "Yes." I was like,
Dude, okay. That should be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for your support. All right. Well, we will leave that to the mystery because, in our next segment, we will tackle 8 and 9, and then we'll have a blowout episode for the series finale in episode 99. Yeah, because we're on episode 97. And then, my God, when we get to episode 100, oh, Peter, I've been given flakes to it, but we're just, it's going to be so good. I don't want to tease people with it. Our 100th episode is going to be phenomenal. But we're wrapping up Deep Space Nine. We're moving into part 4 of season 3. This is the spring of 1995. This was the end of my first year of college. Peter, you were a young whippersnapper. Weren't you like about 4 years old?
At this point, I was 3.
Oh my!
I was about to turn 4.
Oh my gosh! When did you start watching Star Trek? How old were you? Did you inherit that from your father?
So the story is, my parents were watching Next Generation as it was coming out.
Okay.
I mean, I was born towards the end of it, so I would be in the room when they were watching TNG, and so like there were a couple points where like we would be sent to bed, and then apparently we would like reach our fingers under the door, like let me in, watch Star Trek. So like I have it has been in my blood forever.
Oh my gosh, that's even longer back. I mean, I always tell my story. My parents both went to Central Michigan University in the '60s. When in the dorms, they had the communal TV, and at one point or another, they both were watching Star Trek on the communal TV. Figured out it was a shared, I'm not owing my life to Star Trek in that regard, but it was an early something that my parents shared. Yeah. And then I first saw it. I swear, and I could be wrong, but I think the very first episode I ever watched, I was probably 5 or 6, and it was the second pilot. It was Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Oh wow,
it was
interesting first one.
Airing on TV 50 in Detroit, which was one of the perennial stations there, and of course it was in syndication because this was the early 80s. So okay, but anyway, naturally we're off track, but we're getting back on track to talk about DS9. So episode 21, I'll start us off, is the second part of the cliffhanger that we left you with last week. Whoa, cliffhanger! This is the Dias cast. Director is David Livingston. Ronald D. Moore is the writer. My guy, cannot wait to meet him in Vegas this year. From May of 1995, Garrick reluctantly tortures Odo. More changeling torture. It's just we have a theme. It's not a great theme, but it's the theme we got. Reluctantly tortures Odo for information to prove his loyalty to his former mentor in Nabrantain. Garrick is trying to prove it, not Odo. As a joint Tal Shiar and Obsidian Order attack on the Founders in the Omarion Nebula is underway. Part 2 of 2. God, did I love this episode, because for sure, and of course you didn't see it when it first came out, but I watched it. I think I actually might have watched it I was working for my dad weekends doing shoots. So I think I was in like a hotel room in Kalamazoo because I went to Michigan State, but he did a big job down in Kalamazoo. So I was watching Star Trek, because it was a multiple day shoot. I was just watching Star Trek in my hotel room by myself. And this episode was on. Did not necessarily see that this is where things were going. But when I did, I was like, yeah, you find out that Colonel Lovok, who's the Romulan, played by the superb Leland Orser, he's a character actor who's been in absolutely everything, was a changeling all along. Kind of like it was Agatha all along from Vision of the Scarlet Witch. It was Agatha. It was Lovok all along.
Yeah, okay.
We might have a new name of the episode. But anyway, this was a slam dunk for me. I loved it. And again, you do have the convenient redemption arc of Garrick. Like, I did a bunch of bad shit, but I escaped with my life, and now it's all forgotten. And then he's just kind of back. It's the same kind of effect that it had with like Quark in the early season 2 episode where he betrayed the whole crew and let the rogue Trill on board who stole Dax's symbiote. Was played the John Glover episode. At the end of it, he was forgiven because he helped resolve the situation.
Yeah,
It was
similar
Lovok. Yeah, here, I'll type, you talk. So go ahead. Your thoughts,
similar to
please.
that. I really enjoyed this episode as well. Obviously, as I said in the last episode, I can't get enough of Garrick. Garrick is one of my favorite characters, period. But this is also where we see giant impetus for the Dominion War itself, and so this is a really good touching off point. It definitely, when I was watching it for the first time, this did not surprise me. Obviously, the Romulans and Cardassians working together did,
Right?
But them, getting their butts whooped was like, yeah, okay, that's not that surprising. But it did make the alliance between the Cardassians and the Dominion later a little bit more surprising for me, anyway, when I was watching it the first time. So yeah, and also it's also interesting how Garrick gets to say goodbye, kind of,
right,
to his father. Yeah,
his secret father. Yeah, we didn't know what this.
Yeah, I don't think we knew
yet.
Yeah,
and they get reunited on Tane's deathbed in season 5.
Yeah,
just a great story, and really, and again, anything Garrick does, we're all such enormous fans of Andrew Robinson's portrayal. He was going to be at our Grand Rapids Comic-Con and he had to cancel, which is a bummer. But we are getting Terry Farrell, she's awesome. Spent some time with her on the cruise.
She's great.
April and I took yoga from her and just otherwise spent some time.
She was actually the first Star Trek actress that I met.
Well,
in the Motor City Comic-Con, the first time I went to a Comic-Con, I was like, I want to meet people. Who's there? Terry Farrell. I'm going to go see Terry Farrell.
My God.
So
that's awesome. Well, you'll get a chance to talk to her again, I'm sure, when you join it. I'm sure you'll be joining us down there at the booth. So, well, cool. All right, let's move along. Episode 22 is yours.
All right, episode 22, Explorers, directed by Cliff Bowles, story by Hilary J. Bader, teleplay by Renee Echevarria. Aired May 8th, 1995. Sisko builds a replica of an ancient Bajoran space vessel and, with Jake, attempts to prove that the Bajorans developed interstellar travel before the Cardassians. This feels like, the Americans versus the Russians. Bashir frets over the impending visit of a classmate who graduated first in his class at Starfleet Medical Academy.
Oh, man. Is this ever a great example of a great A story?
And the B plot is just
super stupid. And it's a stupid Bashir. So he is 0 for 5 in season 3 of just here's another Bashir, another Bashir story.
Yeah, Bashir's a great character, but they give him some snores of B plot.
Yeah, I mean, it's next season that we get the R-Man Bashir holodeck program. And then in season 5, we find out that he's really a genetically enhanced Superman. And then he starts to get some stories that stick, but really everything up to this point, it's there was, where it was the storyteller episode in season 1 that sucked. I mean, the only thing he's got going for him is that, it's particularly at this point, he and O'Brien have this kind of quirky friendship. The darts thing comes, but everything else that is a story for him, with the exception of probably the life support episode with Vedic Bareil and all that.
That's a rough episode. It's a good one for him.
I mean, but magnificent performance by him. But anything else? Yeah, so this was all about, he was, this classmate of mine is coming on, and she was valedictorian and she beat me and blah, blah. And then he finds out that, she really always admired him, and it's just give me a freaking break.
It's such a strange episode. That whole bit is it was drama for the sake of drama, and it was just whatever. The other part was great.
Absolutely, because you get a great A story with father and son Sisko. You get Jake starting to flesh out, because we learned last season that he was not going to follow in his father's footsteps. He wanted to do his own thing. This was a big step towards that he never actually ends up taking. He never goes to this Pennington school in New Zealand, which must be right next door to the penal colony where Tom Paris is.
Hey, whoa!
That's New Zealand in the 24th century. You got hobbits still, because they're never going away. A penal colony and a prestigious writing school.
I mean, maybe the
What?
writing school's there because they did Lord of the Rings there. I don't know.
Oh, maybe you're right. But yeah, how many convicts are sneaking out to
Go sleep in
write their
Hobbiton? I don't
memoirs?
know.
I don't know.
That's where you have to check first.
Oh,
Guy got up.
oh my gosh.
You know that Tom Paris broke out and slept in Bag End. Like, you just know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. This is the follow-up story you never knew you needed. So anyway,
Someone
fun
write that
episode on-
fanfic.
yeah.
Tom Paris breaking into
Please.
Bag End.
Oh my God. Ugh. If I was at all a fan of Lord of the Rings, I would be excited with you.
I think it's hilarious.
Oh my God. No, that's
Well,
awesome. Okay.
I quite enjoyed how, Cisco is like, oh, I'm not really, doing this to make but we need to prove it. Like, he waffles between like, I'm just doing it to do it, and then at the end
he builds this whole shit by himself, which you're like, oh, how could one guy do all that? But you got to think this is the guy who designed the Defiant and everything, So he's a legit cat.
Yep. And then they managed to show that the Bajorans got faster than light travel through this weird anomaly, more or less, that throws them into FTL speeds, which is great. And then you get to rub it in Ducat's face, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
Ducat reacting to things is always
good.
It's exactly. I'm going to be gracious. Oh, and we just discovered a Bajoran crash site. Yeah, of course, you just discovered it. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. You could have a whole side series called Ducat Reacting.
Yeah, Ducat's just a great character, and I just watched Time Zero a couple of days ago and saw Mark Alemo.
Oh yeah,
it's just like
him as Remy LeBeau, the
card shark.
Got hustled in cards by Data in 1893 in San Francisco.
So anyway, it's always fun to see Mark Alemo do stuff. He's just great.
Mark Alemo is absolutely fantastic. So cool. All right, moving along to and again we have another Ferengi episode coming up, but this one is my absolute favorite.
This one's a good one,
without a doubt. This episode 23 is Family Business, directed by Rene Auberjonois, Odo himself. We have the star team of Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf that wrote this one again for May of 95. Quark returns home to Ferenginar to confront his mother, I love it in parentheses, Moogie, after hearing the FCA second appearance in the series by Jeff Combs, first as Brunt, FCA. Oh my goodness, that she broke laws by earning profit. Cisco meets Cassidy Yates for the first time as a romantic interest. This was actually teed up in the previous episode. Mm-hmm. Jake said, hey, I know this freighter captain. I want you to meet her. Actually paid by Penny Johnson-Gerald, who, quick sidebar, friend of the show and member of our chapter, Kurt Krug, who is a freelance journalist, did an interview with Penny Johnson and got 2 signed photographs of her, granted in her outfit from the Orville. Sorry, not a fan. But I got a personalized photograph of Penny Johnson-Gerald, which I'm going to toss in the back here, probably right next to my photo of Lee Ehrenberg, who our interview with Lee Ehrenberg just dropped on Patreon this week, FYI. Go to secretfriendsunite.com/Patreon if you'd like to hear it. Thank you very much, Kurt. Big shout out to you and your ongoing support of Secret Friends Unite. We appreciate it. So anyhow, great episode. I think we had both a strong A and a B story.
Yeah, but this one had a good one.
Script. Yeah,
it had
flipped on the script and
it had the romantic stuff between Cisco was really, really well done. With Yates and Cisco, because we finally meet Cassidy. She does like the dynamic between those two was like great from the get go. And then, of course, we have the hilarity that is Quark and Rom going back.
Right.
Moogie.
And it was funny because this was back again when I was in college. And my dear mother still taped the Star Trek episodes for me and paused out the commercials, so I would still have them. And so I would still watch them because I was living in the dorms at MSU. But this had a moment that she found particularly touching because in the end, Quark is packing up to leave. And unless I'm remembering this wrong with a different episode where he visits with Moogie, but his Marauder Mo.
That's a later episode, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Because that's a really good scene. That's a later episode.
Yeah, the Marauder Mo action figures is something that we chuckled about because they made a joke about the packaging. But this was the only episode where actress Andrea Martin, who was from SCTV, which was a great sketch comedy show from Canada that was on in the 70s, was on, and she was later replaced by actress Cicely Adams. Or maybe I'm thinking about it backwards. One of the two actresses played the role once. I should probably click on this.
This was the one who played once, and then
it was Ishka, and she was. Let me just go to the link here.
Portrayed by Andrea Martin first, and then Cecily Williams second.
Yeah, so I think Andrea Martin passed away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when at the last minute, Andrea Martin could not return for Ferengi Love Songs. Then they ended up casting Cecily Adams. I thought Andrea Martin had passed away. I hope she hasn't passed away. Well, let's find out. I feel bad. Sorry for this real life. So she is currently alive. So sorry about that, Andrea Martin. You are not dead. You just were recast. So that's it. But
Must
really,
have
both
had a
actresses.
scheduling issue or something.
Yeah, but so both actresses did a great job with the role. So
Yeah.
super fun episode. I think that this pack of episodes that we're blasting through is the strongest. I think the strongest grouping of the season. So all right, next one's yours.
All right, the next one, Shakar, directed by Jonathan West, written by Gordon Dawson. I think that's a one-off name.
Shakar is the ghost. It's Beverly's ghost. Actor Duncan Rager. Yeah.
That's an episode I still haven't watched all the way through. I just don't. I just don't want to.
You know what? Peter in
maybe as a special Patreon thing will force me to watch it live. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, by the time we get to season 7 of TNG, which is still, I have our whole schedule mapped out. We'll get there in 2025. You're going to have to watch it. I mean, the captain's orders.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just have black bars over your eyes, or we'll beep you out every time.
Yeah.
But anyway, the episode's all yours. I'm sorry, that was off on a tangent.
Anyway, Kai Wynn. Yeah, Kai Wynn needs Kira to convince the former resistance leader Shakar, now a farmer on Bajor, to return soil reclamators needed elsewhere in Rakantha, which used to be Bajor's most productive agricultural region.
Oh my God, Kai Wynn as full Donald Trump. Oh my God.
I don't know if it's that, but she's just like, ugh.
She's just totally power hungry, and she's like, no, it's cool. Well, yeah, she's a politician.
Yeah.
Through and through.
Yeah.
And just like saying one thing, doing another. Okay. All right, Kira, you can go back to Deep Space Nine. Just tell him we're all good now. Yeah. Cause Kira,
the whole, this hate relationship between the two, and Kai Wynn constantly forcing Kira to do her bidding, and it's just like,
yeah, exactly. And then, the band gets back together. She, Wynn sends her, her goon squad to take these reclamators, thank you, blah blah blah, by force. And then, everybody gets together, and the squad's on. They're getting hunted, and they finally strike a peace. And at the end of it, Shakar becomes the new president, the new first minister, and Wynn has to step down. And this is way before, later on when Shakar and Kira hook up. But it's funny. Kira's the one who never can really find love until the series is over, because she and Odo finally connect. Oh, sorry about that.
And even that doesn't end great for her, which sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. But her romantic, history between then and now, she's got one dead lover, and then she and
at least she's not Geordi, who constantly gets her down, so she doesn't have that going for her.
But again, things end great for Geordi because he's got a wife. And
like we don't now, but I'm just saying during the entire run of PNG, he just
back in the day, not everybody is Christy Henshaw. What was the actress Julie Warner, who shot him down on a couple of separate occasions in TNG. Yeah. So anyway, I thought this was a cool episode. Got to do some location shooting, probably around Vasquez Rocks, where April and I got to go.
Usually where most Star Trek does their rocky stuff.
It was cool, but it was also a bummer when we went there, because they've been having such crazy weather in Southern California that when we were up there, it was both raining and sleeting. In like
gross
30-second implements, but it was fun to see it. And then it was also fun that Trek consultant Larry Nemec was doing a tour that we happened upon, and that was pretty sweet. That most people apparently pay $400 for, and we got to eavesdrop on it for free. It was great,
nice,
because April looked it up as we were having lunch afterwards. So no, this was fun. I'd love to see that, and it's good to see Wynn constantly show her.
It was also great to see her just get shut down at the end.
Yeah,
it's always joyful for me to see Kai Wynn get her comeuppance. Like she is the
goaltending.
She is such a terrible person. She's a great character. She's very well acted, very well written. But as a person, she sucks.
The worst. Oh God, it was
But it's a testament to Louise Flesher's capability to play a character that you love to hate. It's like she does it so well. So
acting,
such a great job.
And they don't wear hats in the 20s.
Well, she does.
No, excuse me. She wore a great big hat. You only saw her take it off when she was in bed with Picard.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Yeah, we won't spoil you too far forward. All right, moving on to episode 25, Facets. Directed by Cliff Bow. Renee Echevarria is the writer. In June of 95, Jadzia deals with feelings of inferiority. Aww. As she encounters, sorry, Terry. As she encounters past hosts in a Trill Zentara ceremony, in which she's able to transfer the memories of former hosts into another recipient's body. Odo takes on the role of Curzon Dax during the experience with mixed results.
Shenanigans ensue.
This one had some interesting performances. Nana Visitor, or Mama Nana, as she is known in her persona in places like the Star Trek cruise. She's known.
Okay.
weird performance, I thought, in particular, because she was portraying Leela Dax, I think.
Yep.
And you got a little bit more with it. It was very slapshot how much time we got with each one of the hosts. Like with Bashir, we got him for 5 minutes. He was doing a bad accent. Didn't really care for that.
Yeah, that was odd.
Leela was Emily Dax flipping around doing gymnastics, which I thought was kind of weird. So I think, and then Quark played a weird role, but he broke the fourth wall and popped out and said, "How much longer do I have to do this?" Because she was talking, because Quark's he was hosting a female host, and so he was like, so I guess that was played for laughs a little bit. So I think they all kind of flopped until we get to Renee taking on Curzon, which was great, because he was like, hey, we both decided we'd like it here, and I'm gonna stay. And once it was determined that there wasn't any threat to Jadzia's health, they had to get
the
to
one that Cisco did with
when he was Duran for a minute.
That was done well.
That was power.
That
yeah,
was done well.
Those were the only two of these, because I thought the other ones were kind of like they just. And I love all those actors.
Brian's was funny.
I just thought all of them were kind of played very one note. But again, if each one of them had 60 seconds or less, what could they really do with it? But what they did, I didn't love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you said, Duran's, Avery's portrayal of Duran as the murderer, the one that we found out earlier this season was the suppressed memory, was done really well. And then, we spent the most time with Renee, with Odo as Curzon Dax. And it was finally revealed that, Curzon was in love with Jadzia. He had her dumped from the program so that he wouldn't have to confront his feelings. But now that it's all out in the open, it's really accomplishing what apparently the Jintara is all about, which is the fact that you have to confront your feelings and with these various hosts kind of integrate them back into one whole body. So, I would say, the first 2/3 of this episode kind of fell flat for me, but I thought that last act, they really stuck the landing. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was well done.
Yeah.
So
that's all.
It was really well done. I did. There is a tie-in to Discovery later, where they basically do the Shintara to remove Gray.
Right.
I remember watching that episode and being like, "Yeah, it's not really a thing," and then watching this again and be like, "Oh, okay, I guess you could construe it that way." So upon rewatch, yes, I have to retract one thing I said about Discovery. However.
Yeah, I know, and there are people, Missy, for example, enormous fan of Discovery. Kay is a big fan of Discovery. I have limped along with Discovery. I will, like we've talked about with it ending, it's undeniable that it brought Star Trek back to life, but I feel there are other components of Star Trek now that I
just have to give them the mark that what they did can work. They did caution in this episode that it's not a good idea.
Right.
But,
Correct.
So I just wanted to say, in case someone wants to pick at it, that is a thing.
There is precedent. Exactly. All right. Let's take us home with the awesome season finale, which gives us Captain Sisko.
The Adversary. Directed by Alexander Singer. Written by the Star Team again, Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. Aired June 19th of 95. Ambassador Krasinski informs newly promoted Captain Sisko, and they do a great psych out at the beginning of the episode. It's great.
My final commander's log. What? He got fired?
And then he gets promoted. You're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
All right.
So he informs Captain Sisko that there has been a coup on Zenketh. He orders Sisko to take the Defiant to the nearby Federation colonies to show to the flag to keep the Zenkethi quiet. Little did they know, he's a changeling.
Point of order. Yeah. Whoops.
There's an imposter among us. Right. On the board of the Defiant and sabotages the ship. And we have the unfortunate bit that later gets Odo into trouble. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, Odo has to the final showdown in the Defiant engine room. Odo has to kill the other changeling, which is the one
thing that they don't. It's
the
basically the unforgivable curse in Changeling Society.
Right, yeah, and so we find it is exactly a year later that the penance is exacted upon Odo, but we don't want to get into that because we won't get all the way around to season 4 of DS9 until we get through all these other seasons.
We'll be finishing up season 4 of Enterprise first.
Yeah, you're right. We will launch. Yeah, because we haven't even finished up with season 3. We've got to do season 3 of Voyager, season 3 of Enterprise. That's you and me, and then we'll get to season 4 of TNG. So we got a lot to go before we get back to this. So, but we will get there. But anyway, great episode. This was funny that summer. Based on this episode, this will make you chuckle. I wrote, and I know I don't own it anymore because it was handwritten, but I wrote some fan fiction that spun off of this episode. It was there was an Intrepid class ship that docked at DS9 and got involved with some changeling intrigue that also involved the Maquis.
Ooh.
And it was pretty good. And of course, I was the first officer character, young me. Of course, I was 19, so I don't see how I would be a lieutenant commander. But whatever, it's Starfleet.
It's the Mary Sue syndrome. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's JJ Trek all over again. I'm 22 and I have the rank of captain and command a starship. That makes sense.
Everybody loves me.
Yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, totally awesome episode. A lot of cool suspense. You learn a lot. I think this is the episode, and of course it ties back to what's going on in Picard, that we learned that when a changeling, gets injured or whatever, and where a human being would bleed if a changeling, if a faux changeling drops a bit of that, it just becomes the changeling goo again. Yeah. So I feel like we learned that in this episode for the first time.
Yep.
So but yeah, we're still getting we get a return of Michael Eddington when he was still a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of misdirects and all that. Right. You're like, is it the Doctor? Is it somebody else? And there is a point where the changeling changes who he is a couple times, and it's really well done. Where they keep you don't know what's going on, but something weird is happening. And is there a traitor? Is it a Maquis? We don't know what's going on, and then you finally figure out it's a changeling that's been doing all this stuff. And then so it's a really, really good episode. Way to end the season.
Big time. Yeah, no, I thought it was a slam dunk. Well, cool. Well, I know that we don't have the whole season list in front of us, and I feel bad. I really wish the Kay was here. So I feel bad that she's trapped on that runabout out there in the Badlands. I hope she's okay. We're going to check on her. But if you bring up a list of episodes of the season, which I'm not going to do, I just have to fly from memory. Let's have a favorite and
do we want to do favorite and least favorite from this section and then? Or
do it. All right, yeah. So give me your favorite. Thank you very much. Give me your favorite and your least favorite from part 4.
Out of this one, my favorite would probably still be the Dies Cast, just because it's a continuation of the story, which was my favorite episode of the previous chunk. My least favorite may have honestly been Shakar, not because it's a bad episode. But just there was a lot more for me that was interesting, character building wise in the other episodes, including Facets.
Gotcha.
And because Explorers had such a good, wholesome family thing, which we don't get to see very often, I can't put that one at the bottom. So just by default, Shakar is going to be in the bottom, but not because of the bad episode.
I gotcha. I have a tie also between the Dice Cast, but definitely the adversary because, like
Oh
I
yeah.
said, it spun off that fun piece of fan fiction, which I wish I said. I remember I wrote it in ink pen on a yellow like legal pad, and then it just doesn't exist anymore. But last place, I think I would say Facets, because again, we had 2/3 of what I thought was kind of stunty, not great acting by actors that I think are great, with a great third act, but uh, 2 out of 3 in this case is very bad. So I was bummed out by that episode. So okay, with that being said, looking at the season, and again, it would be smart of me to have all of the episodes in front of me. So let me do that. You go first if you already have.
I have the list
a
up,
list
yeah.
in front of you. Okay, I'm bringing it up right now. Okay, go for it.
So I'll just say that my least favorite, because I'm still like struggling with which one is my favorite. My least favorite would probably be Fascination. Out of this season.
God.
I just don't care.
I get it, and that would certainly be in a bottom 5 for me.
It's either Fascination or Visionary that are my least favorite. Out of
more Brian beat 'em ups. I'm gonna have to go with in the ones that it was funny because I remember when Kay was the one who I tossed her this one. She's like, "Oh, thanks a lot." Meridian was just
Meridian. Oh,
didn't really speak at all, and such a shame because it was directed by Jonathan Frakes.
I think I scrolled past that one and my brain just went. So yeah, I guess Meridian is. That's
all right. And how about a fave, season fave?
This is tough for me because there's a lot of good episodes in this season.
I know it was, and this is before they rejiggered the show, which we'll see in season 4 by adding Worf and making it such a big focus between Klingons and the Dominion. You know what I mean? So this was when we were just our core group of starting out characters, but they really delivered.
Yeah, I think, and this is probably going to be a weird choice for a lot of people. An episode I really, really like this episode, and I really don't know why. Second Skin. I really like this episode.
And Cardassia,
it's just one of my favorite episodes. I'm not entirely sure why. It might just be Nana Visitor's performance, which is amazing, or just the intrigue and where they're like misdirecting on, is she actually Kira Nerys? But then also the whole, like, they show the side of Cardassia where it's like, yeah, they're, a lot of them suck, but then there's actually like, they have loving families too. Like, and actual families that actually care about each other, that aren't just like puppets of the state, even though the father is a really high government official. But
otherwise seems like a good dude. Yeah. Kind of reminds you of season 1's duet, where there are still Cardassians who struggle with the horrible atrocities that the state commits. You know what I mean? So
I think this is just one of my favorite episodes. I know that when we get to it, I'm sure, I don't know that I think we already get past it, but like, I also like Face of the Enemy in TNG, and this is a very similar sort of vibe.
Big time.
I would just have to say, and I know that that's a little surprise to some people because, I've been talking a lot about Garrick this season, but I really like Second Skin. It's just, it's a really good episode.
Garrick played a role in it.
He was in it. So, there you go. He's in it.
I have a tough one because while I really love Defiant, because it brought Jonathan Frakes back in a really prominent role and he just really absolutely crushed it. It's undeniable to me that Past Tense parts 1 and 2 is so resonant with what we're dealing with. Like I said, even on the cruise, it was either myself or someone else in this in the talk that Ira was giving. He said, "Look, unless something changes in this country right now, we are going to have past tense absolutely everywhere that we go. We have these sanctuary zones because that's how we're really handling things right now." And it's staggering to me that this is from almost 30 years ago, and they hit the nail on the head. Any big city that you go to, being in LA in particular, which I was right around that time, seeing all the homeless encampments and the way that these people are treated. Where this episode didn't necessarily tag it that way. There were elements of it. It was saying just people who didn't fit the bill just got all shoved into this area, and eventually, it exploded. And let's hope that, especially with everything going on in this country right now, and all the violence and all the things that need to change for the better in this country, that something will come of it, that we get a future like Star Trek, but that it could take something like what we see in this episode. So probably, I think I said it at the time, probably the most in considering it as a single segment, even though it's a two-part, probably the most powerful social commentary wise of anything Star Trek ever did was in those two episodes. So potentially the finest of the season, almost the finest of the series, outside of, because it was completely removed from other lay motifs of the series, like what became the Dominion War and Cisco as the emissary. This didn't have anything to do with any of that. This was just a really strong, and you just never, it came out, you wouldn't have expected from DS9. This would have seemed a lot more like a TOS or a TNG kind of thing, because those were the kind of stories they did, but they never did anything like this one. It really blew me away. So yeah, holy cow. That's what, all right. Well, my goodness, that is the end of season 3 of Deep Space Nine. My goodness. And next, when we get, and hopefully we'll rescue Kay from her little shuttlecraft in the Badlands.
She's not in the Delta Quadrant.
I hope not. Yes, because next she and I will be jumping into season 3 of Voyager, assuming that we can get her back from there. But with that, Peter, where do people find you out there on the internet?
All right. Well, you can find me out on the internet at Petrus Aquinas on various social media, and also on ELH Mark 1 channel on YouTube or Twitch, where I am currently playing a Vulcan.
Woohoo! Peter, I feel like you make great Vulcan. You've definitely
I can pull it off. Not always great, but I can pull it off.
Yeah, it's good. I love it. Oh my goodness. Awesome. Well, as for me, I'll tell you in a moment, but definitely for more information about Starfleet International, which is the home of our wonderful USS Grand Petoskey fan club chapter here in West Michigan that my lovely wife April and I run together. Peter is our chief engineer. Kay is another one of our officers who I hope is doing a great job fixing her shuttlecraft right now. Lower decks. But please visit Grand Petoskey on Facebook, Twitter, and a website of the same name. You can find me largely over on Twitter at the C3. Just go ahead and spell it out, where I'm talking about various stuff, sharing different whatevers. And you can also find us on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. We have a lot of fun there. We also have one for the Grand Petoskey.
We have a Discord. You can join us there.
Yes. What did I say? Did I not say Discord?
Nope.
Was I talking about something else? I said Patreon. Oh my God. Meant to be talking about our Discord, but we would also love to have you on our Patreon. Ooh, you know what? I'm not even drinking tonight. What the hell's going on? But yes, no, if you would love to if you like what we're doing here, and you'd like to get some great additional content, including our star interviews with actors like Doug Jones, Lee Ehrenberg, Tara Rosling. You'd like to hear a great show that I do called The Facts of Geek Life, where I talk about classic TV shows with a guest, or Spinner Rack, where Todd Oxford and I talk about different cool comic series. Please join us over at secretfriendsunite.com/Patreon, where you can get all those details. Friends, as always, thank you for joining us. Peter, thank you for joining me. And I will tell you, as always, that sharing is caring, and keep on trekking.
Peace and long life.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite.